What's good, people? Samurai Lee here, back for another fight talk. This week it's all about UFC 199. Great card. I think it's 13 fights in total, around 4 on the Fight Pass prelims. Excellent show. So I'm going to start myself with the prelims. Cole Miller goes up against Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres. Bruce Leroy feels like he's been around for a long time from the Ultimate Fighter. He's only 11-8 with 1 no contest on his record, but he's a tough guy, you know. He beat Sergio Pettis. I'm sure he got a rear naked choke. So he's beat good guys. He needs to put a run together though, because he's running out of time. There's some big guys in his division, and he needs to start putting some wins together now. Otherwise, he's going to be a nearly man. And he's coming up against a really tough Cole Miller, who's experienced. He's been around for a long time. It's a tough fight. I believe Cole Miller will get the job done. I think he's probably more well-rounded and he's more tough and more durable than Bruce Leroy is. So I think he'll get the victory, Miller. The next fight on the prelims is a really good fight. Jessica Andrade down at strawweight. Jessica Penne coming off her loss to Joanna Jędrzejczyk. No shame in that, obviously, for the strawweight title. She did get brutalised. She got absolutely smashed to pieces at times. Her face, she was in a state. And Jessica Andrade, her last fight was a loss to Rocky Pennington up at bantamweight. So this is a 20-pound difference from her last fight. She's dropped a hell of a lot of weight, a stone and a half in English. Whether this weight cut will take it out of her, whether we'll see a difference in her fight style because of it, that's going to be a really intriguing matchup. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Jessica Andrade can get the job done over Jessica Penne. It should be a good fight though. Beneil Dariush goes up against the unbeaten James Vick, who's 9-0. Dariush he's having a quick turnaround. He's coming off a defeat to Michael Chiesa, where he lost there by I think he was choked out actually, rear naked choke. And he's going up against a young undefeated fighter in James Vick. I think if James Vick can use his range and keep it at distance and keep it on the feet, I think he can get the job done and continue his undefeated streak. Then you go Brian Ortega, Clay Guida. What a fight this is for me. This is going to be fight of the night. I always love to see Clay Guida fight. The guy's got a chin on him and he stands and bangs. He's got a weird style where he's constantly bouncing and he's hard to get hold of. But when you do get hold of him, he'll just walk through the punches at times. He's so tough. It's unreal. Ortega, undefeated, another young, hungry fighter. A lot like James Vick, looking to put on a show. And I think Clay Guida would be a great name on the resume of Brian Ortega. I think he'll do it as well. I believe Brian Ortega will get the job done over Clay Guida. I doubt he'll stop him. It's possible, but I think he'll probably get the job done on points. Onto the main card, Dustin the Diamond Poirier comes up against Bobby Green. Poirier's 3-0 since moving back up to lightweight after getting stopped very, very early by Conor McGregor down at featherweight. Bobby Green's coming off a defeat to Edson Barboza. So again, no shame in that fight, but I know before that he was on a big winning streak. If he can put right where he went wrong against Edson Barboza, I think he can be a match for Dustin Poirier. It's going to be a really good fight. I can't call it. That could be fight of the night also. I'd imagine it'll be between Ortega and Guida and Green and Poirier. 2 really good fights, and I wouldn't like to call a winner on the Poirier-Green fight. Dan Henderson, everyone's favourite granddad. He's been around for how many years? He's however old he is. He's fighting Hector Lombard. Dan Henderson is a pioneer, as we all know, a Pride legend, achieved absolutely everything in the sport. My question is, why does he still continue? He loves fighting, I guess. That's why, the only reason you would. He's coming off a defeat to Vitor Belfort. His contract expires at the end of this fight, and he said there's a possibility he'll retire. There's also a possibility if Dana gives him a good contract offer, he'll stay. Personally, I'd like to see him hang him up. He's given us some great fights. Shogun Rua fight stands out for me. There's a lot of big fights he's been in, and he's coming up against Hector Lombard, who hasn't got an official win on his record for over 2 years. He had a win in 2015, which was turned to a no contest after he failed a drugs test, so he needs a victory, and I think he'll get the job done over Dan Henderson. Max Holloway, Ricardo Lamas, that's a great fight down at featherweight. Holloway is on an 8-fight undefeated streak. He's won them all since he fought Conor McGregor. Another fighter that's gone on a good streak since they were stopped by the Notorious One, or beaten by the Notorious One in Holloway's case. Ricardo Lamas is a tough guy. He had a title shot against Aldo. Aldo didn't finish him. He's had some great fights. His last fight, he beat Diego Sanchez. So, you know, he's a really tough fighter. I lean towards Max Holloway. I think he's the future. I think he's exciting. I think he's a fighter that always, and he's getting better and better. He's well-rounded, and he's a fighter I love to watch. So I'm leaning towards Max Holloway for this one. The co-main event, what can you say? Uriah Faber, Dominic Cruz 3. You know, these guys, they've been in some wars, they've been in some battles. Faber holds one victory over Cruz. Cruz holds a victory over Faber. Cruz had his last one and only defeat where he was stopped. He was submitted by Uriah Faber in 2007 in the WEC. Hasn't lost since. Okay, had a long 3 or 4 years out with the knee injuries and was unfortunate, but he came back, beat Mizugaki, and then beat TJ Dillashaw in a very contentious split decision to get his title back. So, great fight. Really good grudge match. The guys do not like each other. I lean towards Dominic Cruz because I believe his movement and his footwork are too good for Uriah Faber. We know Faber can bang. We know what Faber's like. If he gets your back, he will choke you out. But I don't believe Cruz will get involved in that. I think he'll stay outside of the pocket. He'll get his shots in and he'll get back out of range. And he's constantly on the movement. His head movement is exceptional. I think Cruz will get the job done and defend his bantamweight title. The main event, the Count Michael Bisping getting his title shot that he has begged for and longed for years and years, challenging Luke Rockhold for the middleweight title. You know, he took it on 2 weeks' notice. Chris Weidman pulled out injured. What can you say? Bisping has been around for a long time. I believe he deserves the title shot. I don't think there was anyone more deserving of the shot than him when Weidman pulled out injured. I know it was only, I think 15, maybe 18 months ago, Rockhold beat him. Where he kicked him, was knocking him out, ended up choking him, getting his back. It's a hard fight to call, man. In my country, everyone's behind Bisping. I've seen all the tweets, all the social media. Everyone on Twitter wants Bisping to do it for England. Me personally, I'm not a Bisping fan. I know I'll get a lot of stick for saying it. As an Englishman, I should want Bisping to win the fight and be the first British champion in the UFC. I don't like the guy. I've met him one time. Didn't really think he was that nice a guy. I don't like the ways of his corner. He's disrespectful to a lot of people. Yes, he's coming on a 3-fight win streak and he's beat the greatest of all time, Anderson Silva, here in London. What can I say? You have to take your hat off to him for, you know, to still be in there. His longevity since the Ultimate Fighter in the early stages. He's been around. He's fought everyone. He's got some losses on his card, but he's beat some big names, and he deserves his title shot. Luke Rockhold, what can you say about Luke Rockhold? You know, he's 15-2. He dominated Chris Weidman to take his belt off him. He lives and breathes the UFC and fighting. He's not married, doesn't have kids. This is what he does. This is who he is, and for that reason, I believe Rockhold defends his middleweight title up against Michael the Count Bisping. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment below whether you agree or disagree. Thanks for watching.